name is Bob and welcome back to the Homestead, y'all. It's time for our 2-month update on our monster tomato grow that's been in the ground for 8 weeks. Actually 8 weeks and 3 days. I'm a couple days behind on making this video. But as you can see, our plants are doing great. All except for one over here, the Amish paste. It's not doing as well. It hasn't grown for the last couple weeks. We've had a lot of rain here lately. We've had a couple days that had 3 inches of rain and a couple that had over 2 inches of rain. We had rain for 11 days straight, so we were worried about our tomato plants and root rot. So we've really had to keep an eye on them. But in the last month, since our last update, we've added guy wires. I have stainless steel guy wires here. I've put 4 of them on it. And then I've attached 1/2-inch conduit 11 feet up and attached all 4 cages together with that 1/2-inch conduit. And how I did that, I just took my Sawzall and put that 1/2-inch conduit in a vise and just cut a slot in it and slid a hose clamp through that slot. And then we just hose clamped each one of them together. So all 4 of them are attached together now, and they have guy wires. So hopefully that'll hold them up for the rest of the year as they keep growing. Another thing we did, we came in and we pruned a bunch of our plants. And I'm going to show you that video right now. It's been 7 weeks since we planted our tomato plants. I should have got this done last week, but I didn't get time to do it. So we're going to do it today. I need to thin these tomato plants out. You can see they're right at 7 feet tall right now in 7 weeks, so they're doing well. I do have some concerns. We've had 5 inches of rain in the last 3 days, and we're forecasted for a high percentage of rain for the next 7 days. So if that happens, I'm going to have to pull some landscape fabric up. I'm worried about root rot with these plants. So I'll just pull my landscape fabric up and try to let as much of that water evaporate out as possible. I can't pull it completely up because I have these huge tomato cages set down on them, but I can roll the landscape fabric back and try to dry the ground out. But hopefully we won't get too much rain. You can see this plant back here. I've already trimmed it. I have a pile of tomato leaves down here. We're going to trim this one on camera so you can see how I do it. But I wanted to take the camera and show you what it looks like whenever I get done. Of course, we're still keeping the leaves at the bottom 12 to 18 inches cut back. But what we want to do is to be able to see all the way through. That plant had so many leaves on it, I couldn't see all the way through. And by cutting the leaves off, it does multiple things. First of all, it helps cut down on disease. It lets air flow through it, especially on these hot summer days when we're getting all these rains. You don't want all that water sitting on those leaves, especially overnight, because bacteria can build up. Another thing it does, it gives your tomatoes plenty of room to ripen. It gives you room to get your hand in there and pick them. I may redesign these cages by next year. I think I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. This year I just did 3 sides on them, and they're not quite big enough, so I think next year I'm going to add a 4th side to it. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll grab the camera, I'll show you what this one looks like, and then we'll go ahead and cut this one back. But you can obviously see how thick this one is. You can't really see through it. And this one you can see all the way through it. We've cut a bunch of the leaves back. It promotes airflow through it. It lets the pollinators get into the blooms. And it gives your blooms and your tomatoes plenty of room to grow and makes it easier to pick. So let me show you this one first, and then we'll trim this one right here. See, This one, you can see all the way through it. There's plenty of room for airflow. And plenty of room for the tomatoes to grow. So that's what we're going to do this other one. We're just going to cut a whole bunch of leaves back off of it. We've got some rain coming in, so I need to hurry up with this. But all I'm going to do is just go in here and cut some of these long leaves off of it. Of course, I'm cutting it as close to the tomato plant, the main vine, as I can. And then just gently slide them out, because if you have tomatoes already on some of these blooms, then you can knock the bloom off or knock the tomato off. So just be careful pulling it out. But we just want to go in here, cut some of these long, 18 inches to 2 foot long leaves off of it. You can see some of these big long leaves. We're going to leave plenty of leaves for photosynthesis. This way this plant will do a little better, and hopefully we won't get any disease on them. So that's the last thing we need. But I'm just going in here. Just knocked a little tomato plant off, or tomato off that one. And just reach as far in as I can get. And slowly start pulling a lot of these leaves out. I still have 2 more to do. So hopefully I can get them done before the rain comes. Drops of rain. So I may have to cut the video short. Of course, we'll do a video next week. That'll be our 2-month update. But I think you get the idea. You can see what I'm doing, just going through here, cutting all the big leaves out, so that way we can get airflow. It does multiple things for your tomato plants. It doesn't hurt them at all. In fact, it helps them by doing it. So I'll see you next week. We'll do our 2-month update, and we'll see how tall they are. I'm guessing they're going to be right at 8 feet. I want to show you this real quick. Just show you my pile of leaves from 2 plants. You can see how many leaves I've cut off. Of course, all these will go in the composter. So this will make compost for later on this year for other plants. But I can see the rain coming. I can even hear it coming. I'm going to get inside. Has this plant done. We got another 1/2 inch of rain. I was able to come out here after the rain and finish it up. But you can see how we can see through it very nicely. We can reach in, pick the tomatoes, and I'll continue to do that as it grows as best I can off a ladder. Right now, you can see that one. Let me show you this one. This one's pretty much done. You can see there's no leaves for the bottom 18 inches or so. And then you can see through it pretty easy all the way up. Maybe a few more right here in the middle I need to go ahead and take out. But other than that, those 2 plants are done. Well, I have all 4 of our monster tomato plants pruned back. A couple of them I pruned pretty hard. But you can see the pile of leaves we have here. This is all leaves off of 4 plants. Of course, 2 of them are about 7 foot tall, and the other 2 are around 6 foot, a little over 6 foot tall. But this is how many leaves I've pruned off. It's a huge armful. Now this will go in the composter, and we'll go ahead and compost this down, and it'll go back into the soil. Okay, so that's all we did. We attached the 1/2 inch EMT conduit, and that was just to make these cages a little bit more sturdy. That gives them a little more stabilization, and same with the guy wires, gives them a little more stabilization so they don't fall over in heavy winds, because we get some bad storms sometimes, and we get some real heavy winds. And then we just thinned out these plants. Now you can see we thinned those out at 7 weeks. So you can see how many leaves have already grown back. Next week, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in here and cut a bunch of these leaves, so that way the tomatoes have room to grow and the pollinators have room to get in there. And we get plenty of airflow, so that way we don't get disease. Because if you don't have a lot of airflow, then any water that gets on there on these hot, humid summer nights is going to be a spot that bacteria can grow or fungus can grow, and we'll get diseases on them. But so far we've been lucky. We don't have any yellow leaves on any of these. They look great. They've been doing real well. And let's go ahead and measure a couple of these and see how tall they are. So these 2 on the far side, on this back side, are doing the best. The 2 in the front, like I said, the one hasn't grown in a few weeks. But this one is 110 inches tall. So it's 9 foot, 10 inches tall. So you can see in 8 weeks, 3 days, it's made it to 9 feet, 10 inches tall. And then we're going to go ahead and measure this one over here. Okay, well this one's 110 inches tall. So it's 9 feet, 2 inches tall also. Now these 2 in the front, they're not quite as big. This one in the front here is a little bit behind the other ones. It's right at 8 feet tall. And then this Amish paste over here, it hasn't grown for several weeks now. It's right at 7 feet tall. I don't know what's going on with that plant. It's still producing tomatoes, still producing blooms. It still looks good. It just isn't growing any taller. I'm hoping that maybe all the rain maybe stunted it for some reason. Of course, this is Amish paste, and these 2 are Sweet 100s, and they've done great with all the rain that we've had. But what we'll do is we'll keep an eye on him, and hopefully it'll start growing again. Like I said, it's still producing tomatoes, and that's our whole goal. Our goal isn't to grow huge tomato plants. Our goal is to grow plenty of tomatoes, so that way we can can them and put them up for the winter time and have plenty of tomatoes to eat. But for this month, we're doing great. We're right on schedule. So by the next update next month, we should be right around that 11, 12 foot mark, and that's where we made it last year, was to 12 foot tall. So I'm hoping to at least beat that this year. And like I said, these cages are 16 feet tall. So we're at 9 feet, so we're well over halfway now. We're right at halfway on the growing season. So hopefully we'll make it to the top by the end of the growing season. If you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments about our monster tomato grow, please leave it below and we'll answer those questions as quick as we can. And as always, thanks for watching.